Hello you fantastic people, and welcome back to Borderlands 3. I hope you guys are all doing well. In this video I've got my level 65 Mayhem 10 Fadeaway FL4K Crit Build, which is just for bossing. It's not good at mobbing whatsoever. It's just for bossing, and it's centered solely around the Torg Bang Stick, which is a purple shotgun. Don't stress about that though, it's really not too difficult to acquire. I've got guides on that. I've got a link down below, an end screen title card. And you don't need any good rolls for this thing to absolutely annihilate bosses in this game. For example, I'm going to show you guys a clip in this video at some point of a level 50 non-Mayhem scaled Torg Bang Stick with still one fadeaway clips Grave Ward in Mayhem 10 level 65. That's how strong this build is. But yeah, I'm going to immediately start showing some clips on screen so you guys can see how much damage this thing does to every boss in this game. I literally went around to every single one and checked, and it annihilates everyone still. It actually surprised me every time I make this build at each level cap. Not only am I shook that it just does this much damage and just destroys everything with just one weapon requirement. Two, if you want to make it a little faster, as you guys might be seeing in the clips, you can use an Unforgiven to crit swap and make the damage even higher and destroy the boss even faster. But one huge thing, just to put a ton of the YouTube comment section at ease, you do not require the Unforgiven whatsoever. You do not need to crit swap. This build will work regardless. You can still use that level 50 Torg Bang Stick that I was saying and not crit swap, and it will still one clip fade away Grave Ward at Mayhem 10 level 65. So that's the main thing. You don't need to. It's just if you want to be super efficient, you can use the crit swap ability of the Unforgiven, and they'll go down even faster. Which is why I originally created this build. I used to farm bosses like 2,000 times for one video, and I just wanted to be as efficient as possible. The god roll items, the god roll weapons that exist now definitely didn't exist at level 50. So I use this to essentially farm those bosses as quickly as possible to make my YouTube videos back in the day, and just get the god roll items for each new level cap. I brought this build back every single time for each level cap, and you guys seem to love it. It's literally every time I've made one, it's made it into my top 5 or top 10 videos, highest viewed videos ever. So I thought I'd bring it back to level 65, seeing as you guys seem to love it. But yeah, in this video, I'm going to show you guys the bang sticks. I have the ones you want to go for, the different anointments. If you want the absolute god roll one, you can go after it if you want. There's absolutely no god roll bang stick in my backpack, I can tell you that much. I literally have garbage ones relative to what you can acquire, and you're seeing how much damage it's doing on screen. That's how good this build is. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, I'm also going to go through the skill tree as well, the Mayhem modifiers you guys want to be looking out for, or more the ones you don't want to select. There's actually quite a huge variety of ones you can select for this build because it's not affected by too many of them. This build requires absolutely 0 DLC items, by the way. You can of course use them, for example like the Pearl would make it stronger again, but you don't need it at all. You can literally use a Snowdrift Auto Idle. That's literally where this build started, with a 18% extra shotgun damage as a passive on it, and it will work also, and you'll still be able to one-shot or one fadeaway Grave Ward with ease. It's just if you want to do even more damage, you can use some DLC items to pump it up a little bit. But yeah, the strat is jump into the boss fight. Any purple Torg shotgun has an alternate firing mode. The original one is an impact explosive, and then the alternate firing mode, if you press C on the keyboard, I believe is the default, or an arrow on the controller for console, it switches it to sticky bullets mode, which is a really crazy damage version of it. Essentially, go fade away Gorillas in the Mist for this build, and just unload as many sticky bullets as you can at the enemy's crit spot, and just keep shooting until the Gorillas in the Mist runs out. As soon as that does, either reload the bang stick if you don't want to use the crit swap method, and that will initiate the sticky bullets to explode. If they're stacked on top of each other, they do more damage, so try and hit the crit spot at one spot as much as possible, and it will just annihilate every single boss. It's ridiculous because you get your action skill and annoyance on your grenade and shield, and it just goes off. If you guys want to do even more damage, like I said, the crit swap method with the Unforgiven, and a lot of these clips you're probably seeing me switch to that, and that's getting the extra 400 or 300% to 432% extra critical hit damage bonus of the Unforgiven, and that's just annihilating things. It's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, hopefully the clips did the build justice on screen. This thing is a ridiculously crazy strong bossing build. It's just for pure efficiency. If you want to down every boss in this game as quickly as possible with like no god roll gear, this is the way to do it. Starting with the purple Torg bang stick. This is the level 65 one I've managed to acquire so far. It only took me like 4 or 5 days, not too bad. I got it from a completely random world drop. If you guys want to know how to acquire this one or the best ways to acquire it, I'll link a video for it in the description or just the end card title screen. I'm sure most people know how to get this one, particularly seeing as I've made a few videos on it in the past. So if you've been around, you probably heard about this gun. The best part about it, like I said, times 18 is the way to go. That essentially means you proc leave no trace in the skill tree. That gets bullets back into the mag so you can constantly fire forever and never have to reload your gun. That is a really strong ability for Flak's shotgun builds. Now, like I said, this one is a really trashy roll. It just still works because this gun is so damn strong and this build is so strong. You can literally see the anointment is for rack attack, which helps us not at all, so it may as well be not anointed. And the one I have is actually got 5 bullets in the magazine. That means it actually has about half the damage that it could have. I'm not sure what the highest damage it comes with at level 65, but I know that it would be a lot stronger if it had just 2 bullets in it, which works really, really well, by the way. Having leave no trace on a times 18, you'll still never reload even with 2 bullets in the mag, consuming 2 bullets per shot. That's kind of how this build works. Essentially, just spam that thing, leave no trace will keep it reloaded for you. Now, the other ones you guys saw, if you haven't seen it already, I'm going to play them on screen as I go through them. We have a ton of different rolls in here. Here's a Kelbasa, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's a different option you guys can go for. I believe it goes up to times 13. I'm not 100% sure if this one is the perfect one. Otherwise, it might be times 16. Let me know in the comment section down below. But this one works really, really well. More pellets gets the ammo back in the magazine and more damage, etc. This is a corrosive one. You do not need any elemental types, by the way. In fact, I would actually recommend getting a non-elemental one. That way you can literally take one gun to every boss and it's going to be efficient against all of them, because no boss in this game resists explosive damage, which is awesome. So yeah, that's the other option you can go for. There's also a Pony Torg shotgun. This one's also really good, but it doesn't come with anywhere near as much pellets. It does a high amount of damage per pellet, but not as much. So it's a lot harder to get those bullets back in the mag, and sometimes you get stuck reloading. So this one works, but you are going to be a little bit struggling if you are liking it anywhere else in the build for this one. So try and get something better. Just use this one as a starter one, essentially. The next best option for a bang stick at level 65 is a times 9. They also work really, really well. It's just, again, not as high damage as this times 18. But if you get a good anointment on the times 9, it may outweigh it. So just kind of work that one out for yourselves. Now, the other ones, which I'm actually really keen to show you guys because it's kind of hilarious. I've kept these 2 ones in here since the start of this build. The level 57 one, I'm pretty sure I literally used it in a level 61. I didn't even bother getting a new one because it didn't require it. This is an airborne anoint, not even acquirable in this game anymore. It got taken out because it was so damn useless. Only 50% increased damage whilst airborne. When are you airborne in this game? So that's not helping you at all. It's practically a non-anointed times 18 level 57 one. This is M10 scaled and still does a ton of damage. 8 levels under leveled. And my favorite part, this one right here, this is the original times 18 level 50 bang stick god roll that I got for this build the first time I made it on PC. This thing is ridiculous. It's not Mayhem scaled. It is level 50, 15 levels under leveled. It has 2 bullets in the mag, which is the perfect roll, and it has on action skill end splash damage increased by 200%. That is amazing. You can get consecutive hits on this thing. 100% ASC is going to work really well for this one. But this thing, level 50, enjoyed the clip of it absolutely destroying Graveboard at Mayhem 10, level 65, 15 levels under leveled. It's kind of ridiculous. Exact same strat as normal. Just run it in there, go gorillas in the mist, shoot all the shots in his chest in the crit spot, and then either reload. It still works without even crit swapping, which is stupidly ridiculous, and it'll go down. Or if you want to use the Unforgiven, it'll go even faster. If you have any other bang stick, don't stress about getting a level 65 one. If you've ever had a tall bang stick in your inventory, if it's still in your bank from ages ago, just pull it out. I guarantee you it'll work with this build. As for the Unforgiven, if you guys do want to crit swap, again, you do not need to crit swap for this build to work. I guarantee you it'll work without it. But if you want it to be as efficient as possible, you guys can acquire this one. It's in the base game. It drops from Indo Tyrant in Floodmoor Basin, and it rolls from 300 to 432% extra critical hit damage. This one is an absolute god roll from level 60. You don't need a god roll. You can literally use an unanointed 300% one, and it'll still work from any level because it doesn't actually change what level you got the gun on. It's just an extra passive that it comes with every single time. But I'm not getting rid of this because it's a level 60 pure god roll, so I'm keeping that forever. But again, you don't need it. If you want to be efficient, get it if you want. As for shield, you actually don't need an old god. I just have that on there for an extra bit of fire damage to see the difference. Not really necessary. You can use any base game shield and it's not going to do a huge amount of difference. The transformer is what this build started with fire damage ASC, or if you guys are versing different bosses, radiation corrosive as per needed. It essentially, as soon as you come out of Gorillas in the Mist, you're going to proc that ability and do more elemental damage. Likewise, you pair that with your grenade anoint ASC elemental damage. Make sure these are different elements, by the way. They don't stack. If you do fire and fire, it's not going to do more damage. It's just going to do the same 50%. So go radiation and fire for things like Ravord, Tyrene, etc. If you're versing an armored enemy, put one of them, for example, the transformer shield, change it to a corrosive one, and it'll be more efficient against those guys. For the grenade choice, I use an It's Piss grenade. I usually throw it just as I come out of Gorillas in the Mist, and if I crit swap or just reload, etc. Enemies hit by it take 20% extra damage for 6 seconds. The class mob used for this one is the Bounty Hunter. You can use Stackbot, by the way, works very, very well as well. But the Bounty Hunter seems to outclass it, particularly seeing as it has a lot of bugs a lot of the time. This one is a god roll for Jacob's shotguns, but generally for the Torque shotgun, it's an extra 56% bonus damage. Not particularly an amazing roll. For that, you could definitely get a lot better if you want to, particularly if you're at level 65 for your class mod. Try and get as many points into the most dangerous game kill skill, because the ability of the Bounty Hunter essentially means you can proc kill skills when farming bosses, and that is a really easy thing to do with a times 18 bang stick, because you get a 3% chance to purchase to activate any purchase hunt skill when dealing gun damage. Each of those pellets has that 3% chance. That's why having a higher pellet count bang stick is going to do more damage, because it's going to proc those faster, etc. And that kill skill is really, really strong. As for artifact, I have the pearl in here. You don't need it. You can use a Snowdrift auto idle. This is the one I used in multiple clips. It has shotgun damage, mag size, and action skill cooldown rate. It's pretty much a god roll from level 60, and I ain't ever getting rid of it. But again, you could literally turn off or just take off an artifact, and I guarantee you this build will still work, because there's just so much damage coming from other places as well. As for Mayhem modifiers, these are trash for pretty much any other build, but the best part about the bang stick build, it literally isn't affected by most modifiers as long as there's no elemental resistance. That way it's not resisting some of your ASC elemental damage. You can use Holy Crit if you want as your very hard modifier. You'll do 25% extra crit damage if you can hit the crit spot. So it depends what boss you're versing. If you can always hit those crits, you're going to do more damage. If it's an enemy that you can't always, for example, Tyrene closes her like face thing, I don't know what that is, but you can't hit crits all the time on her, so you do reduce damage overall. So generally, I just chuck on something that is neutral. For example, Postmortem isn't going to affect you until the boss is already finished. That's not going to hurt you mid-fight. Drone Ranger isn't going to help them at all. Mob Mentality, there's generally only one boss in the arena, doesn't affect you, and Slayer does nothing. So just try and find something neutral that's not going to destroy the build. Now for the good stuff, the skill tree, starting with the red tree. The definite one you have to have for this build to work is Leave No Trace. Essentially, Flak has a 36% chance to put a bullet back in the magazine just for hitting a critical hit, which is a crazy, crazy ability. That's why having times 18 pellets on a bang stick, or as many pellets as you can, is very, very helpful, because you're pretty much guaranteed to put a bullet back in the mag, never having to reload if you are in fadeaway, because you're always hitting critical hits. Put 5 points into Interplanetary Stalker. It is a kill skill, but when you're using the Bounty Hunter, you're going to proc that versing bosses as well, so you get all those bonuses even in bossing situations. Same with Hunter's Eye. Bosses are treated as humans, robotics, and beasts to get all of those bonuses against any boss you fight. Now, usually I put 3 points into head count for pretty much every build I ever make, but I actually didn't need it, because I can one fadeaway kill every boss in this game with this build, and if they have immunity stages, the head count is actually cooled down by just having 1 point in time. You guys can try that if you want. You can put 3 points in there if you want. Otherwise, I didn't think you need it. You can put it all in more damage if you want. For example, Ambush Predator, you get an extra 20% extra crit damage if you are further away from the enemies, which actually happens more often than you think. Check the clips or just check as you're farming yourself. There'll be a little gun icon at the bottom of your screen when you're far enough away from enemies to proc that. That's pretty much most boss fights, so you get that extra damage. Put 3 points into Big Game, that's always an essential for Red Tree. Put 3 points into Most Dangerous Game. Again, we got an extra 3 from our class mod, which does a ton of damage. We have 50% extra gun damage, 20% crit damage, and we have some pet damage, which isn't too useful for this build, but we get so much extra bonuses from having that in our class mod, which is amazing. Then a super cheap 15% critical hit damage for 1 point in Galactic Shadow. We actually missed Grim Harvest. I think the points are better spent elsewhere. For example, this is 4% crit damage per point. This is only 3% gun damage. Action skill damage doesn't affect this build, and pet damage isn't needed for this build either. Then we get down to Megavore, 20% chance to hit a critical hit anywhere in the body, which is a really, really good ability. You're pretty much proccing that all the time with a ×18 bang stick as well. Again, helping out Leave No Trace and getting action skill cooldown rate if something went wrong. Over to Blue Tree, because we have 65 levels now, we can actually make it to Frenzy with this build as well. It's kind of crazy. I absolutely love it. You can put 3 points into Persistent Hunter for increased action skill duration. Also essential for this build because the longer you're in Gorillas in the Mist, more shots of the bang stick you can get into the enemies. 2 points into Ferocity just to get down to the next level, get you some pet damage. 5 points into Frenzy. Each time a pet shoots an enemy, you get a stack of Frenzy, and it stacks up to 10 times, and you get 4% per stack. 40% extra gun damage, or just damage of all sorts from Frenzy alone. That is better than the Capstone Power Inside unless you have full health, but that is all the time when your pet is up, which is kind of crazy. Over to Green Tree, Fade Away, of course, Gorillas in the Mist for the augment, as well as Unblinking Eye. Successive hits on the same target increase flax critical hit damage per hit, resets every 3 hits, 75% extra crit damage per hit. That is a crazy, crazy ability that doesn't even cost a skill point and really helps out this build. As for skill points, put 5 points into Furious Attack. Literally shooting enemies gives you more damage. What more could you want? Put 5 points into Overclock. Increased fire rate means more damage. Put 3 points into Turn Tail and Run. Health regen and damage reduction whilst moving. Gun damage and fire rate while standing still. Essentially, whenever you're in Gorillas in the Mist, they shouldn't be able to see you. Sometimes it does bug, but try your best to stand still while shooting the bang stick and letting those stickies go off because you'll get more damage from them. I always put a point in Lick the Wounds for pretty much any build I ever make because flat goes down from stupid things like barrels in the boss fight arenas, Mayhem 10 rocket launches if you're trying to run to the boss fight, stupid stuff like that. Get the pet to get you up for situations like that. To get down to the next level, I put a point in Self-Repairing System. I ended up putting 3 in there. You don't really need it for this build whatsoever. You don't really take damage. You just go in Gorillas in the Mist, and then after it, the boss is gone. So there's not really any need for it. You can put it anywhere in here if you want. I just put it in there because I figured it would be better than these 3 options getting to and from boss fights. That gets us down to 3 points into the Fast and the Furious. Extra gun damage, pet damage, and movement speed for this build, but gun damage is very helpful whilst above half health, which again, we don't really take damage in this build, so it's pretty much all the time. Then over to Hidden Machine. When an enemy has no target or is targeting somebody else, you can extra 30% damage. The pet is often taunting bosses, so you get that quite often, and that actually gets us down to the main thing we're after in this tree, the Power Inside. Whenever you activate your action skill, you get an extra 25% damage for 15 seconds if you activate it while you're above 50% health, which is all the time with this build because you activate it as soon as you jump into the boss fight. You haven't been hit yet, you're going to get 50% total extra damage for 15 seconds, which is a really long time. I'm pretty sure Gorillas in the Mist lasts for 8 seconds with the bonus, so after that you still have 7 seconds of the Power Inside, an extra 50% damage. No boss is lasting 7 seconds with this build. If you've got all the shots in of a bang stick in Gorillas in the Mist, they're gone in 3, max 5. Now, as for pet choice, you might be confused why I chose the Jabba because he only has 5% extra crit damage, whereas we have access to the Great Horn with an extra 15% damage total, and we have the Spider Ant with 10% elemental damage. But the main thing that you want to always choose the Jabba for this build is he has an SMG. He stacks Frenzy the fastest and can stack it by the time you've run to the end of the platform for Gravy's boss fight. He'll have Frenzy at 10 stacks instantly because he's a ranged pet. The other guys, Skag maybe shoots 1 every 10 seconds, practically useless for that ability. And the Spider Ant Scorcher does a ton of damage against individual smaller mobs, but again, ranged wise, he's a very slow pet to stack up Frenzy. So I would highly recommend going for the Jabba. This one here in particular, this pistol one is the second best one, shoots pretty quick. The shotgun, even though it has multiple pallets, only stacks Frenzy once per shot, which is kind of annoying. So the SMG, fastest fire rate weapon this guy has, plus you get an extra 5% critical hit damage, which is going to help your damage out as well. But yeah, that is everything I have for my level 65 Mayhem 10 Flak Fadeaway Crit build using the bang stick for absolutely destroying bosses in this game. This thing is amazing. I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. I found it helpful. Feel free to smash subscribe down below. If you guys want to hit that bell, YouTube will notify you for whenever I post a video. I already have a ton of builds up on the channel. I already have my Alpha Flak build, particularly on the channel. If you guys want to check those out, that is already up. And there is a lot more builds on the way. We've got Gamma Burst coming, we've got a URAD build, we've got a lot of specific other fun builds on the way, which I'm super keen to show you guys as well. So yeah, stay tuned for that. If you guys want to help us out even more, you can smash a like down below, that'd be amazing. If you have any comments, any suggestions for this build or other builds, feel free to let me know down there. I'd love to hear them. If you guys want to check us out over on Twitch, I live stream every day just after I post my YouTube videos, except Tuesdays. We usually hang out, make builds, find cool new weapons that are being buffed, and just hang out and have a good time with chat. That's linked down below, or just search CodyMcQ on Twitch. Other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I shall see you guys next video and a live stream. Till then, adios.